Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Keenan Higgs Higgins once again with another Black America web exclusive. Now, as y'all know, we are very, very close to Election Day, and there's a lot of things going on that are trying to influence your vote. And while we are not here to tell you how to vote in any way, shape, or form, we are here to bring you just a different perspective. And joining me today is two guys that are doing some amazing stuff to bring you a really, really dope perspective when it comes to this election season from an art perspective and a music perspective. And so please let me, I would love to welcome Nolan Williams from Freedom Advances and Willy Cordy Jr., who is doing some really cool things with animation. And I just want them to talk about it. So who wants to start? Who wants to start?
I'll leap in. So, Keenan, thank you for having us. I'm Nolan Williams Jr. I'm CEO of New Works Productions, and we have launched this project called Freedom Advances, which is a multifaceted media campaign that is really purposed to inspire everyone to vote. We are, as you said, not telling folk who to vote for, but we're just reminding folk that freedom advances in our nation when we all rise up and vote. So we've got 30 and 60-second PSAs featuring celebrities like Regina Bell, like Carla Hall, like Debbie Allen, like Norm Lewis and Andre DeShields. We have these inspiring music videos that feature civic anthems that I've composed. The one that we put out before, I Have a Right to Vote, and our new one, Rise Up and Fight, that my brother here, Willie, helped me on. And then we've got like this social media campaign that we've been doing, including our Rise Up Song Challenge, where we've been inspiring young creatives across the nation to take our assets and to use them to create new ways of reaching their peer groups to inspire them to vote. So that's the Freedom Advances campaign, and people can go to newworks.us to learn more about that. That's Newworks with one W, NEWORKS.us.
And then Willie, please tell me, like, how did you incorporate your artistic skills into this?
So when I looked at the writing that Nolan had looked at, I listened to the music video, the live performances, all these ideas started popping into my head, and I started shooting stuff to Nolan. He was shooting things back and forth to me, and I started thinking about all the things I learned when I was growing up, and then I started thinking about like the movies and writings that I've seen, and I was like, I wanted to put this thing to an animation that would inspire other people, because I know like a large crowd of I'm also a college professor, so a large amount of my students and of college students and undergrads and high school students that I've taught over the years watch cartoons, watch anime like myself, and read comics. And that's the first thing that popped into my mind. How can I help capture a lot of the young voters? Because even like I'm not a young bird, so I still watch cartoons and things like that. So I just figured with what we have and then the ideas that Nolan had, we could bring some life to this in an animated form. So we started with the storyboard, and we made a few changes, worked on ideas and stuff, and then we were looking at how to animate it, how to do the motion graphics versus animation, and we just came up with a really nice product. And I'm kind of caught up in my own emotions about it and everything. So I'm proud of what we've done, because it actually started getting a lot of my students and other people. We started sharing the video, and it started getting people engaged and stuff. So I'm just happy we were able to get it done in the time that we had. So
yeah, and the Rise Up and Fight video that Willie is talking about imagines three heroes from Freedom Summer. Freedom Summer 1964 was a time when 700 plus volunteers came together in Mississippi to establish freedom schools and to register Black voters in rural counties. And the KKK was enraged by the work that they were doing and decided to make an example of three of those young volunteers, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Mickey Schwerner. The KKK abducted and murdered those guys. And so we imagine them coming back to Mississippi 60 years later, expecting a world of change. I mean, after all, they gave their lives literally for the work of freedom. And they come back and realize, wow, our country is still wrestling with some of the same issues of human and civil rights. And so the song is that storyboard of these guys coming back and then issuing this call to action. Look, today is the day, now is the time to rise and fight for what you believe is right. And so it's really powerful when I went to Willy with this idea. How do we bring these guys back to life? Willy, being an amazing illustrator, started to create this amazing storyboard, and that has resulted with his work and the work of our animator and graphic design director, Gabriel Genesis. It's turned into this full-fledged music video, Rise Up and Fight, that you can go to newworks.us to see. And get this, Keenan, that film now, that short film, has won 6 international film prizes and been accepted into 4 film festivals, and we're semifinalists in 2 other film fests. So we never imagined what the reception would be, but we're pretty excited about that.
That's and it's so I feel like it's so much from both of you. There's like this sense of being proud, and there's such a beauty in that, you know what I mean? And so but there's also an interesting aspect in the same way that the election has kind of changed up, this campaign has changed up as well. So talk to me a little bit about some of like the trials and tribulations that this has come through, just even in the switch up of, you know, our candidates.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Keenan, we started talking about this vision for this project months ago. And we started working on this, and we have a history as a company of doing civic engagement projects. We're always trying to leverage the power of the music and the arts for community engagement and for social good. We don't advocate for a candidate. We don't advocate for a party. We advocate for core principles that are connected with democracy, that are connected with freedom and civil rights and human rights. And we're always leveraging the power of the arts to speak to those issues. When we started down this path months ago, man, we were having the hardest time getting funding. We were having the hardest time getting celebrities on board. Like, we've had a great track record of getting celebrities to support our efforts, to support our campaigns. And like, the enthusiasm factor was just way down, way down. And so we were, it was like we were swimming upstream, right? Trying to make headways here. But we knew that we had a great creative, and we were still working to develop our creative, even though we were facing these obstacles. And, you know, once there was a sea change in terms of the election cycle, in terms of, you know, the candidates, particularly on the Democratic side, we then started to see an uptick in enthusiasm. And again, like, we're not for the Democratic Party or for the Republican Party, we're for American values. But we did notice that once there was that shift in candidates, that suddenly then we were getting more return calls and that kind of thing. You know, it's one of those things, you know, you never know when you set out to do a project, the kind of obstacles that you'll face. But, you know, we're glad that we're at this juncture, that people are paying attention to the work that we've done, that young creatives across the nation have been contributing to our song challenge, and we're excited that we'll be featuring some of that talent at the Kennedy Center as a part of the Let Freedom Ring celebration that is presented by Georgetown University and the Kennedy Center. I've been music producer of that. This will be my 20th year. We're excited that the Rise Up and Fight video is getting a lot of views. I think we're up to over 50,000 views and steadily climbing. We're excited that our PSAs are getting out there and featuring Debbie Allen, featuring Regina Bell, featuring, you know, all of these folk, Andre DeShields and Norm Lewis, that people are starting to pay attention as we get closer to Election Day. Because, as a reminder, 4 years ago, 81 million Americans did not vote in the national election. 81 million. So that's about a third of our population that didn't cast votes. And that's why we're doing what we're doing. Like, the election should not be decided by 2/3 of our population. It should be decided by every American citizen. And the way a democracy works is we debate rigorously our competing points of view. We give everyone access to the ballot box, no obstacles, no suppression, We say everyone can vote. We count the votes, and then we live with the outcome. That's how democracy works. And so our goal here is to encourage everyone to help us advance freedom by rising up and vote. Vote, 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 vote. If you take nothing else away from this time that you're watching us, make sure that you vote and encourage your friends and your family to do the same. And we've got some assets that you can use, that you can share, that hopefully will inspire them to do what needs to be done.
And Keenan, what I liked about this project too is that a lot of young people have seen it and are now registered voters. And because being in contact with so many students from high school, where once they reach their 18th birthday, and then some like brand new to college and things like that, and then some I've met on the street, they've seen the video, and it's actually not just encourage them to register to vote, but to actually vote, not just register, but to actually vote. And then on top of that, which was for me as an artist and a professor, this video has actually inspired other artists to actually put in more work. And so they're asking questions about how to do this and how to do that. So I liked it because it's inspiring our people. And being an activist in Virginia, I'm in Atlanta right now, but when I was in Virginia, I was like a really deep into community activism, and I'm trying to do the same thing here. And this project actually helped me reach out to other people as well. So this is all the way around just inspiration and growth. And that also is constantly inspiring me. And then when I see my phone go off and I say, oh, it's Nolan, first thing I smile, like, okay, what's going on now? And it's always something good. It's like he's surprised me with the awards and the notifications and people acknowledgments that people are seeing this film. And I'm like, okay, what can we do now? Nolan, what's next? What's next on the project? So we're actually working towards like what he was saying earlier. I think we're off camera talking about we're converting it to a comic book as well. So
that's really cool, especially after I just came off a comic con, which y'all will hear about later.
By the way, one of the film fests that we are really proud of, Rise Up and Fight music video has been accepted into Afro Comic Con, which will be taking place in Oakland on November 6th. So we're stoked, it doesn't get any better than that.
I love that. I really. And while we are on the topic of art, because that plays such a big role in just this campaign overall, Willy, I got to check out this a while ago, and I loved how it kind of just has been developing over the time since I've seen it. But from one of the things I really noticed was just the art style itself. What was one of the decisions that made you go with this style as opposed to super animation or super hyper realistic, or even outside of the 2D, you know what I mean? You were able to do a lot with relatively.
It was a lot of thought into that, because normally when I'm doing, because I do comics and I'll do more of a an action, Marvel DC / Image style. I also looked at how it would come out as an animation. I didn't want to do something too detailed, and also start looking at anime, and then a lot of my manga fans. And so I used to mess with students and say manga on purpose just to see their reaction. But I used to look at the manga style, and then the anime style, and then versus the animation style. And I wanted to kind of simplify my designs to make it fit in between there, and also we were looking at time constraints as well. We had a team of animators, actually 2 different teams of animators, but when our time started dwindling down, because it was like Nolan said, there's a lot of entities involved in the project itself. So when it comes down to the actual creating, it's a time-consuming process. And then he brought in Genesis, which helped and how we were going to actually do the final production. It made me look at how the style was going to play in the time that we had to get it produced. But I like a lot of different styles. So it's not just one element, but we did look at character layout, design, and things like that. And then we went back and forth with that. Go ahead, Nolan.
Let me just jump in, because this is one of the things, Keenan, that you were hinting at before. We had this big plan for full 3D animation, but we were struggling to raise the money to get going on this. So we were developing the storyboard, right? And hoping to get the money to do the animation. And then at a certain point, we had to shift. And just when we thought that the project might be like lost altogether, I went back to Willy and said, Willy, like the illustrations you've created are brilliant. They now tell the story. We just need to animate your illustrations. We don't have to go to the extent that we were originally thinking. So it's one of those things where sometimes what seems like a setback really becomes like the inspiration for a different level of ingenuity, and it inspires a different kind of creativity. Like, let's take what we have, let's take the money that we have, and let's find a way to make this work. And like, listen, for all the creatives who are watching, let me tell you, take another look, because there's always another way to get your project done, to get your project out. Like, you just don't allow, you know, setbacks to really crush your spirit and your creativity. Keep at it to find another way.
Yeah, because, you know, I tell students all the time, don't get set on one particular style, because you never know what's going to happen. You might have, like you say, you might have to make that quick change. And if you can adapt your style, you know, or adapt the concept, then you can keep moving. You can actually stay in business. In this industry, if you're that solely focused on one particular thing, you're gonna leave yourself with a bunch of doors closed. But if you can adapt in other styles and not just your own creativity, but you also have to think about what people like. It ain't always about what you like. It's also about what other people like and what's going to get the message out. And messaging is very important, and being able to tell a story is very important. So a lot of those things were considered when making this project. So.
And let me just say, Willy and Gabriel Genesis, these guys are brilliant, and I couldn't have found better creative partners than these guys. I'm so thrilled with their work, and thrilled with all of the partners who have worked with us, with the music shop out of Richmond, and Will, who is the head of that, who's running our Rise Up Song Challenge, with the many editors and video teams that we've been working with across the country, from New York to LA to Atlanta, guys who have just been on the money in terms of turning around our video assets, with the many artists that have contributed their time and their creative because they believe in the vision of what we're trying to do and reaching people with this Freedom Advances message. This has been a team effort in every respect, with the Public Concern Foundation in New York that has served as our fiscal sponsor. I mean, I could go down the list, and all of the organizations that have embraced this and are helping us to push the messaging out through their networks. So many grassroots organizations, including, get this, the Andrew Goodman Foundation, that found out about the work that we were doing. And Deshaun, who runs that foundation, has helped us to push this messaging out through their organization. I mean, so many friends, so many partners. We're super, super grateful.
Something you said reminded me of part of the project on learning how to adapt to what different situations. So when we do these type of projects, a lot of people think ahead of time, well, we're going to do this, we're going to have so much fun. And it's fun, but at the same time, there's a lot of critical thinking involved. And I can't push that enough. Critical thinking, critical thinking, critical thinking. So even when you think, oh, I'm finally done, I'm done, and we're almost there, and then so I'm gonna go lay down, I'm gonna get ready to go to sleep, right? And then the phone ring, it's Nolan. And I was like,
at any hour of the day or night.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock,
Guilty.
a text
Guilty.
message, and I'm like, oh, let me get back on the computer and log back in, make the change, send it back to him, then jump right back in the bed. And then let him do whatever he needs to do, talk to whoever he needs to talk to, so the project can just keep moving on. So you just gotta be, you know, when it comes to being dedicated to a project, be dedicated to a project. And if you see the vision and you believe in the vision, that definitely helps, because I believed in this vision, I believed in this project, I believed in what we're doing, I believed in the message we're trying to get out, and I just really wanted to be a part of it. So when the phone calls come and then text messages come, like, oh, gotta stop what I'm doing, it's Nolan. So I had to put that in there. So, well, people always think it's all fun and games and hard, because I used to work in the 90s, I worked in the music industry, and people now, you think about the music industry, it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be a lot of music, but it's work. A lot of these people work very hard behind the scenes, and you never know what goes on to make these projects happen. So I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But Keenan, we can't end this without encouraging folk to go to newworks.us to see these assets, to share these assets, use them as a means of inspiring your friends and folk in your network to vote. And go to vote.org, which is a nonpartisan, universally accepted resource for you being able to check your voter registration, answer any questions that you may have about how you can be engaged this election cycle. Vote.org. We really need you to help us drive this messaging. Those of you who are watching, the goal is to have fewer than 81 million people sitting out this election. Like, we can't do that again. We need full participation, and all of us have a responsibility, and we have the opportunity to really inspire people to be engaged. Rise up and vote, y'all. That's how freedom advances.
And that's it, man. So to close this out, regardless of how the election turns, either way, what is the one thing that you are going to walk away from this project proud of and looking with your head held high? I would love for both of y'all to answer that.
Well, for me, I'm proud that we had the opportunity to bring this project to life, and I'm proud that I, in particular, was able to inspire other people to vote because of not just me talking to them and getting in their ear, but this project as well, because I think this project set, I feel like it set a standard for what you can do, where you can go, and it opened up a lot of eyes. And I'm just proud to be part of it, and that I had students that are the first time voters, and they're going for it. So that's me.
Keenan, thank you for having us on, man. I really appreciate your love and your support. And thank you to all those who are part of your team that are giving us this platform. I have been CEO of New Works Productions for 21 years. And over the course of that period, we have done a range of arts and educational projects and entertainment projects. Our work always centers around culture. It always centers around leveraging the power of music and the arts for social good and for community engagement. And we've done this kind of work for a number of years, particularly centered around elections, where it's like, oh, we realize we have an opportunity here to really help people see the importance of civic engagement. So for me, the thing that I am most proud of and the thing that is most meaningful is that our messaging is reaching people, and that it's inspiring people, and that because of what we've done, more people will be involved, more people will be activated to participate in this election cycle. And I am super proud of our team and all those who have worked believing in this vision to bring this to pass. And again, go to newworks.us, newworks with one W, to see the full suite of our assets and help us to inspire folk to get out this election cycle and do what needs to be done.
All right, y'all heard the fellas. Get out there, go vote, and most importantly, let your voice be heard.